Hello and welcome back to another Milsurp HQ podcast. I'm Tom and joined again by my pal Kelly. What's up?
Howdy, everyone. How are y'all?
And we're back after a small hiatus due to a catastrophic computer failure at the Milsurp headquarters. I lost
Cue
all my stuff.
the womp 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 sound.
Yeah, I should. You know.
There we go. Perfect.
So yeah, I lost all my stuff and I still had backups of a lot, but when you lose all your settings and you're trying to edit and record, it's terrible. So we're back. And today we're talking about a cool topic here, gun shows, because Kelly and I are going next month to the annual Kansas City National Summer Arms Show in Kansas City. Woo!
Yep. Supposed to be an incredible show. And to talk about that with us today, we have one of our Discord buddies, Matt. Welcome, Matt. Thank you for joining us.
Appreciate the invite. Happy to be here.
What's up, Matt? I'm real excited. We were talking before, but I'm really excited because this show is the largest I'm ever going to go to for a while because my shows are 100 tables or less. High school gyms, VFWs, that's where I go. So I'm excited to go to this.
Yeah, this will be a little different for sure. I've been to Tulsa, so I've been to the biggest. But other than that, I mean, the ones around here are decent size.
Wow, you've been to Tulsa. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I actually met Danny there back in, I think it was like 2017, 2018.
Oh, wow. Matt, what's the biggest show you've been to?
I've been to Show of Shows one time, and it was quite a few years ago. There's a couple in Houston that I've been to, and a few in Dallas that are pretty decent size. Tulsa is definitely on my list to go to. Everybody's always talking about it, and I was actually working a gun show the last time they had one. I think November of last year when their last big one was.
Yep.
So I didn't make it, but I think this year we're gonna pony up and make it out there. It's not too bad of a drive for us.
In a weekend, can you do all 4,000 plus tables?
So I was only there for a day, and it definitely takes more than a day. Like I covered maybe a third, and that was rushing it. So you'd have to like dedicate 2 full days to see at least even like see all the tables.
That sounds like a good 2 days.
Oh yeah.
And are all the food, jams, and jerky tables, is it exponentially larger at these large shows? You know, the non-guns?
That's the cool thing about Tulsa and this Kansas City show that we're going to, is they have actual rules, unlike a lot of the gun shows around here, where like the vast majority of the tables must be gun related. So a lot of the gun shows around here, you'll see random bullshit like salsas and roofing tiles and just random stuff. Like people come do their dang garage sales at these shows, but at these bigger shows, they're really popular and a lot of demand to get into them. So they kind of cut out all that non-gun related stuff. So it's just purely guns.
And I saw that there was a lot of displays at the Kansas City show we're going to.
Yep. So a lot of people sometimes do just displays, air quote unquote, so they can get into the show earlier, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But apparently you actually have to have like a good display and it has to be informational, and you have to like man your display and be there to talk to people and stuff like that.
Right. So I want to be prepared because I usually just go with my bag, a pen, and a little pad, and I write some notes and compare, do some math. For a show this big here, do I need anything? Am I missing something? Do I need anything else but my bag, my pen, and my pad? Like, what do you guys bring?
Well, like we touched on earlier, I think money is going to be the
Yep, that's the main thing
factor for everybody.
Actually, not even just because there's always ATMs there. Always bring a little less than what I intend to spend, and if I really, really want something, that's kind of one way I kind of limit myself.
Then you got ATM fees, and like the show's local to us. I'm about an hour away from Kelly. A lot of the shows local to us, they'll have like a limit. So hey, it's $8 to use the ATM, but you can only pull out $200 at a time. And so if you want to over that, you got to do it 5 different times.
They get you on that one. Luckily, my bank refunds those ATM fees, but yeah, it'll be like Oh, $3 to withdraw. They're like, oh, you want $800? Oh, it's gonna be $12 in fees. Good luck.
But
So
Danny from Millsop World on his gun show video, he said that the ATM sometimes run out of money at the shows or they're not working. So don't count on the ATM.
yeah, that's true. I've never run into that around here at least, but yeah, I could see it running out of money at one of the big shows.
All right, so we need cash. So that's we
Cash
need
is
cash.
king. Yep.
Some guys I know I was talking to, they bring books and bring a backpack full of like reference books and printouts and stuff just so they can look everything up on the fly. I use my phone, but
Yeah. Sometimes service can be spotty in these buildings just because they're either like metal frames or there's just a ton of people. So you might have to like go to a corner or pop outside real quick to get some service. But I think bringing reference books might be a little extra, unless you're like really into something very specific. Then maybe it's worth it.
Well, that's what it's going to be interesting for us at the KC show is we're going to have so many different areas of almost expertise between all the different people going that we
Yeah,
almost
we
can bring in the reference. We're just going, hey, where's so and so? We'll grab them and bring them over. Hey, what do you
yeah
think?
we got like at least a dozen people going. Got M95 guys, Mauser guys, Austrian
yep.
rifle guys,
The infield guy.
French guys, yeah, infield guys. Hey, bud.
Right. It's going to be awesome. Just being able to go, how's this? What's this? This good? Is this right?
What's this marking? Yeah.
Perfect. Now, what was funny was I think Danny said in his video and a couple others said, don't even bother bringing a gun to trade or sell because they're always looking to rip you off and the hawks at the entrance are trying to get a deal so they could flip it at the show. But you did it, right? Did you bring it and make a deal? Right?
I've brought a few. Like, I mean, whenever I have something that I either just like bought as part of a trade or I'm just not really feeling, I'll take it to a gun show just for shits and gigs. I don't really like selling to the vendors that much. Sorry, Matt, because I mean they're in it to usually to make a buck, so they're just gonna buy it, put it on the table, and slap a price tag for $50 more than they paid for it. But it you can get some good trades. You can work trades a lot because a lot of times the vendors have a lot less in the guns than they're selling than what's on the price tag. Or you can walk around and sell it to other people attending the gun show. So I've had some decent luck. I mean, it
Do
usually
you
takes.
recommend it? Lugging it around? Is it worth it?
It depends on what you want. Like sometimes it's taken me like 2 or 3 or 4 shows to move a gun, but usually that's like a more common thing that some people may not be looking for. Is nothing particularly special. That's why I'm getting rid of it.
Yeah, Kelly didn't like my offer on his grand at the couple shows ago.
Yeah, not quite.
But I did buy what was that? The 1935A off of you.
Yeah, that was a fair deal. I think we were both happy with that. So yeah, you can definitely find some good deals and
But I do tend to pay more off of if I know it's going straight into my collection, which
yeah.
that would. So I don't have to worry
Right.
about trying to maintain, margins on anything.
Yep.
Like the guy walked up a couple shows ago, he's like, I got this old Japanese pistol and pulled out that 94, and he's like, I want $500 for it. All right, sold.
Sold. Yep. Yeah. Sometimes you'll get some crazy stuff that walks in.
All right. So I'm just bringing my bag. I'm bringing some cash. I'm bringing my pad and pen, and that sounds like all I'm bringing.
Sometimes if I know I'm bringing a rifle or know I'm going to buy a rifle, like I just got a feeling like, all right, I want something that's more than likely going to be there, or like I saw this thing last time I was at a show, and I know they didn't sell it. I might bring just like a cheap nylon sling that's easy to throw in your pocket, and that way you can throw it on your shoulder and keep walking around the show and not have to carry it. Keep your hands free.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
I have brought backpacks before to the larger show, and I probably will for the KC show, just because I don't know how limited I'm going to be on buying, firearms and having them, possibly ship them back to Texas. But in terms of picking up, I'll probably be looking for this show to pick up some like militaria and other things that I could probably fit in a backpack. That way I can just hop on a plane with it if it's not prohibited, of course, and fly back with it.
Yeah, that's probably not a bad idea. Or one thing I sometimes do is I'll buy like an ammo can first thing at a gun show, then put all my random small stuff in there.
I knew the answer to this question, but I Googled today. Can you bring a bayonet in a carry-on?
What do you think?
It's like, what if I like wrap it up or something? No, all right.
No, maybe probably not. Maybe a training bayonet, but good luck explaining that to them.
So pretty much anything I buy, I'm gonna have to ship home.
Or you can throw it in a check bag. They're surprisingly lenient with check bags. You can put pretty much anything in there except like a can of gas or whatever.
Explosive. Okay, so that was the prep, and now we mentioned it before, but Fridays at most gun shows, if you don't know, are the vendor setup days most times. And from what I understand, it's like the absolute best time to get a deal. Matt, you must have been on the inside of this a few times.
Yeah, it's hit or miss, just kind of like everything else. And it really depends. Sometimes you get plenty of people that go in on Friday and all they do is they set up, they cover their tables, and they're gone. And other times there is kind of like the quintessential like the insider club. All these people hanging out and they're talking and they're kind of just like, oh, hey, I saw that gun. Or what about this? Or, you want to trade this? And so there are quite a few deals that happen in the shows. And for the most part, though, what I've seen is it's definitely more the private sellers than the actual licensed dealers, because most of we run into this a lot down here with our shows. Is a lot of people are like, oh, you got your paperwork? No, I don't want to do that. Right? Oh, your FFL?
Right.
We don't want to do any of that. We don't want the government to know our info. All that type of stuff. So
Right.
there's a lot more of that trading between private parties than we see on the dealer side. But like this last show I went, and this guy came up and he's bought a gun or two for me before, and he's like, hey, I need a Moss 36. He's like, hey, I got one right here. He's like, oh, cool. The only thing I need left is a Carcano. And I was like, hey, I have one of those here too. He's like, well, I'll take both. Set them aside and I'll pick them up, Sunday at the end of the show. I was like, all right, cool.
Wow.
Nice.
What a sale. You still recommend people try to get in on Friday because some of the places let you, like we're getting in, but there's some of the other big shows. I think it was it the Tulsa show? A show of shows has like $100 where you can get in on the Friday, 100 extra or whatever.
Some of the bigger ones, they kind of actually like start on Friday because it'll be like, oh, members only can come in Friday. Like all the vendors set up like Friday at like noon to 2 or 3 or something like that. Then okay, the members only show starts from like goes to like 5 to 8 or something like that. So they'll have like a members only show before the real show that starts on Saturday.
That's cool.
The thing Friday is really good for is if you find something that, and this is where our area comes in with the mill surface. If you find something that like a boomer has and they don't know what it is, and you can grab it before everybody's going to see it, that's where you can really strike.
Yeah.
And hit home with some good deals. Because otherwise, Sunday, man, is the day to make deals. Especially towards the end of the show, because these dealers are like, hey, they don't want to pack it up, they don't want to move it again. If they've had a rough weekend, they're willing to make any sales. So whatever's left over on Sunday, I feel like for the most part, you have more negotiation in whatever it is.
Yeah, because I always try and go Saturday morning, and of course I always leave late and get there at like 10 or 11, and all the initial good deals are all snapped up. But yeah, I've never really tried the like end of the day Sunday thing.
Those are the 2 hours I was going to say is what I tried out, and my best deal happened at the end of the day, end of like Sunday, 4:00. The guy's packing up his stuff, and he's looking at everything he has to lug, and I purchased like 7 things off the guy's table, just like he's like, all right, take it, go ahead, get every deal I offered. He said, yep, go ahead. So
Nice.
I stand by that late thing. People don't want to, especially the old guys, they don't want to keep lugging that shit back to their car.
And I should get a later flight out apparently.
But if you're gonna get there and you're not getting in on Friday, try to get in on a Friday, even if you have to do a like we said before, a display table or a like Gun Guys got in with a couple of things, 4 or 5 things on the table, and he was in on Friday for
Yeah, and
$60 or whatever.
I know Chills did that too. He has Japanese display, and he's gotten a few deals here and there.
Right. But if you can't get in on Friday, I say get the hell there first thing on Saturday. You have to. Don't show up at Saturday at 2. Because just like what Matt said before, the guy that doesn't know what he has, that's going at 9:00 on Saturday.
Yep.
The early bird gets the milsurp.
Yeah, I've
that's
heard like
the dealers don't even get to see some of the stuff on Friday because by the time I get there, it's me and I hire another guy with me, and it takes us a solid 4 hours to set up, and we'll take breaks here and there and go wander around, but half the people aren't there yet. Some of the people don't even set up till Saturday morning. Not everybody has to set up on Friday at a lot of these shows. They'll come in, last minute, especially some of these older guys where they have 1-2 tables, and they'll come in with their little, modified little shopping cart thing, and put 8 or 9 guns on their 2 tables and just sit there, 10 minutes before the show opens. So
Not that first rodeo.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of the vendors, if they have 2 guys, like Saturday morning, like one will man the table and they'll send the other one to run around and snap up all the good deals that they can, bring them back to the table and slap a price tag on
Yep.
it's been known to happen. I've been guilty of that myself for a few things.
them. Yep.
But hey, man, I have the privilege of being on both ends of the table, and I like being able to get these milsurps and find them and be, predominantly milsurp focused for my stuff. But the same token too, like I understand some of the gun show. I don't want to say gouging because there's some of these prices that are just absolutely insane. But this last show I had 7 tables. That's $580 of overhead automatically, not counting my employees pay for the weekend, and food. So I mean, I'm basically at $1,000 to come to this show and set up. Like I gotta offset and make that money, to still be able to bring these guns to these shows and sell them and have, all this opportunity.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're there to make money, and I may bitch and moan here and there, but I've had more than my fair share of good deals at gun shows, so I certainly can't complain. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, gun shows are dead; they're worthless," but I fully and completely disagree.
And COVID might have messed the
I'll
market up.
never agree with that. We hear that a lot on our end. It's dead, or gun shows are dying out. But like I said, kind of like you, man, I've lucked into quite a few things just walking around some of these shows, and you never, there might be that guy like you, Kelly. The last year you walk around with a Garand that was $200 cheaper than any dealer's Garand. Some guy's like, oh, that's what I've been wanting. Just grab it off of you. Like,
yeah, I've sold to random people walking around.
Danny, I was listening to his thing, like I said, from Millsap World, and he had a style for attacking the tables. He goes to the back and then goes around. Do you guys have any specific way you go through? He just does a pass through first and makes mental notes. I go pass through, I write it down, but same deal. Do you go around first, or do you just go through whatever you see, you pick up, you buy, you keep going?
I definitely do. I do like a quick scan. Like I'll do that one kind of quick walk through the whole thing. And it's easy with not being interested or not looking at any modern arms tables because there's plenty of dealers, at most of the shows down here. That's all they have is brand new handguns. Like, all right, well, I already have what I want modern, or I can order it as an FFL myself. So I just bypass that. Like, oh, hey, look, there's rust, there's junk over here. Let me go stop and look at that and see what's floating around in that pile, and then I'll come back to those if I see something that I really like, and then I'll start like analyzing it in depth, looking at it, make sure that, all right, is this really what I want, or did I see something else somewhere in the show?
Yeah, that's pretty much the same thing I do. I always take a right and go all the way to the back corner, and then start on that row, and then I just go row to row, walking through, skip the tables with either non-gun stuff or just a bunch of pistols, a bunch of ARs, whatever. And then if there's anything I'm like really interested in, I'll pick it up and take a look. But I try and just like, make a mental note. If there's any screaming deals, obviously you got to stop and buy that. You can't let that go because it'll be gone.
There's been 3 or 4 times that I walked past and I couldn't stop thinking about it. I was like, wait, that's a really great deal. Oh my God. And went back and it was gone.
Yep.
So you can't, if it's a really great deal, you have to stop. But I like going through like fast and looking through and go, all right, this guy's shit. All right, there's a couple of Millsort tables here. That looks good. Making notes. And if I see something real good, I'll put a little note in my little pad, like, M1G or something.
Yeah, and I'll make a note of because a lot of times there's like a little 1 or 2 table guys, we'll just have a bunch of random shit, and they're not going to be high movers, so I'll make a mental note to come back and look, because a lot of times their small stuff can be good. They'll have boxes of ammo from the 60s that hasn't been made for 50 years, but you got to look through all that and take some time to stand there and look at everything. So that one you don't want to do on your first pass, but come back to that one and kind of analyze what they have and chat with them a little bit and BS, and maybe they'll have some tips.
Yeah, the old ammo guy.
Yeah, actually, we were joking when I bought that 1935 from Kelly that we could never shoot it because of ammo. And then the next show, I think I texted Kelly. I was like, I randomly asked this old dude with it, hey, you got any 7mm French long? What is it, 7.35 French long or whatever it is?
Something like that, yeah. 7.65.
And he's like, yeah, 7.65 French long. And he's like, yeah, I got 2 boxes of it right here, 2 50-round boxes of Pinel. And I was like, sold.
What the? I haven't seen that ever in first gun show after I sell it to you. Man.
All right, so one of my pals has a way with his tongue here, and he told me I was asking him about haggling. I said I'm a terrible haggler. Like I'll offer. The guy says no. I'm like, all right, fine. Um, he gave me a couple of tips that he swears by. And he thinks he's being slick, I think, but this is what he said: the pre-haggle tips before you offer a price. He says, the first one is let him overhear you on the phone and let him overhear you say the model of the gun you're looking at, so he knows that you have a clue about it. And then he says, imply that you know your shit somehow. Tell the guy you have one already or you're looking for another or something. And he said the most important is don't imply that you have any money because like don't say you have an extensive collection. Oh, I have one of those. I have a but act like you're poor. He said he always says that his wife has him on an allowance. He says he's just if you say that, everyone who's married goes, I get it. And then offer and you're not gonna get ripped off. This is I don't know. But are you guys good hagglers? Because I'm gonna use these tips because I'm not a good haggler.
I'm pretty decent at it. I've
I feel
mostly
like
learned
Kelly's
it
pretty decent at it.
from gun shows. I've learned a good amount.
I generally don't prefer to haggle, like just in my general like day to day things. But at a gun show, I will always throw a number out, no matter what. That's less than what's on the tag.
Yep. Yeah. Same. I always go to gun shows.
And so you give the number and don't just say like what's your bottom line or something. You'd rather give a number?
I always give a number personally. I can't stand the what's your bottom dollar. Like there's no like I don't really respond to that very well personally, and so I don't like to do that to each other too because that's just insulting in my opinion. If somebody says, "Hey, I'm interested in this gun," will you do this for $50 less than the tag price? Or sometimes my general go to will be for my stuff personally. I feel like the majority of people at a gun show will haggle at least 85%, if not more people will haggle. So my gun show tags are generally about $25 to $50 over what I sell it for, in my showroom. And so my general go-to for most of my stuff is, hey, I'll waive the sales tax, on most of these guns, so sub like $1,000 because at 1,000 you're eating a lot of sales tax. But a lot of them, in the $400, $500 range, or most of your
Right.
your guns and some of your decent rifles are, they'll be like, oh yeah, okay, no tax, that's cool. And I'll just eat that, 30, 40, $50, whatever it is in that realm.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good way of doing it. Yeah, I hate the people that are like, because I mean, whenever I sell a gun, I hate when people say like, "What's your bottom dollar?" Because like, I'll just say the same price that I listed.
That's what I'll normally pick up the tag, look at it, and be like, that.
Yeah, there's no effort in that. So I at least try and like kind of go back and forth. I'll inspect it. Maybe I'll walk away or something like that. Come back. Usually, if I come back, then they know I'm interested in it. They know I'm probably going to buy it, and they'll maybe cut me some slack here and there. And I'm still fairly young, so a lot of the older guys will be like, "Oh, you're just kind of a young collector." Like, "Oh yeah, I had one of those back in the day." I'm like, "Oh," and I just kind of BS with them a little bit, and I can sometimes still get that, "Oh, young collector just starting out" advantage, but I'm starting to lose that now. I feel like. But
My
yeah,
friend said to flatter them. Flattery goes a long way. Oh, what a great collection you have here. What a great
it's
table.
true. That's a good tactic too. Yeah, or just BS with them for a couple of minutes.
I mean, it's always nice when you find somebody that actually knows some of the stuff we're talking about versus half the stuff you hear. And I've even joked about, like, if I was going to do a podcast, man, I would just write down quotes from the whole weekend every time I do a show, and that would just be the podcast, man. It would be like,
you totally should.
or deluxe. But it's nice when you do meet somebody that knows something, and it's really nice meeting people that know more than you about something. Like there was a dude, he knew Finnish Mosins in and out, upside down, and everything, and he brought me like 4 to look at, and he was telling me everything about it. And this was a couple months ago, and I sent a couple pictures up to the guys in the Discord, and they were corroborating a lot of it, and it was cool. Like I learned a lot that way, because he was a fin collector, and he saw I had a bunch of Mosins. None of them were fins, but so it was cool. It's cool to always learn something too.
Yep. Yeah. Some of the guys know their shit. Other it's total FUD lore.
Yeah.
And I would say that if the guy says no to your bid, you don't beg, or it's got to be annoying if someone says, "Come on, please," tries to instead of just countering again.
Yeah.
That's
There's
tasteless.
no sympathy on at least my end for that. It's like, oh come on, like no, you got it. Like no, I don't, man. Like this is what I gave you as my fair, counter offer to yours, and if you don't want that, then it's just not meant to be today.
Yep. Yeah. None of that for me either. If I try and because I always try and haggle, I hardly ever pay the price tag. But if they're like, oh, it's this much, I'll be like,
All right, I'm
all
gonna
right,
get both of you guys to do it for
I'll
me,
I'll
Kansas
think
City.
on it. Yeah, you can watch us.
Now it has been something that I don't really like. I don't have to have it. And if I'm still there, I made my offer. We didn't make a deal. I might come back, a couple of hours later if it's a close show, or even maybe the next day. And if it's still there, be like, "Hey, man, it's still there." Like I'll still stand by my offer of X amount.
Yeah, I guess you do have that advantage because if I come back within 30 minutes and they usually know I'm pretty interested, so
That's yeah.
not going to cut me any slack.
Now, Matt, you're flipping some of these guns sometimes. So, do you still have a budget overall? Like, are you going to KC saying, "All right, I'm not going to spend more than this"? Like, should I be budgeting myself totally?
I don't know if I'm the right person to ask for.
Yeah, I don't
Well,
know if either of us are.
how come
I
everyone
mean,
else says, "Yeah, you should spend this much"?
you guys have seen some of my collection, and I don't do well with impulse control, especially my employees always joke. I have two different guys that I hire for my shows, and they always joke that people pay me cash at the gun shows, versus I do take credit cards, and they're like they prefer people to pay with credit card because if they pay me cash, they'll look back and I'm gone. They're like, "Where'd he go?" And I have the wad of cash that I just bought something. I'm like coming back with a gun, like, "Hey, look what I bought for me." Hence that like M95 Longboy that I picked up the other day. He was like, "What are you gonna sell that for?" I'm like, "Oh, that's not for sale." And he's like, "What? Where did you get the cash from that?" I was like, "Oh, that guy just paid in cash, so I took that and bought it."
Well, that didn't last long.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yep. Yeah.
No, I mean a budget's always good to adhere to it if you can. Like I need to be better about that. But I'm planning on hopefully being able to bring a pretty good little chunk of change. But I'm able to kind of cheat a little bit, and some of that is business related to where I can maybe pick up
Right.
some stuff for the business. But this is definitely more of a personal
Well,
outing for us, or for me, I should say.
well, to my wife, I tried. I asked about the budget, and they pretty much said, "Don't budget." So, sorry.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever really budget. I have like specific things I'm looking for. I'm like, all right, if I can find something for this amount, like I can't say no to that, so I'll pick it up. I mean, obviously I know when I'm like broke or not, but it's just if the deal's too good to pass up, then I'm not going to pass it up.
Yeah, younger me, I'm married with a kid now and running the business, and I didn't lose. I quit my former job to do the gun business full time, and it's not as consistent with the money. But young me would be like, man, if I can eat ramen for the next 2 weeks, I can probably get this gun today, and it'll be fine. I love some ramen, but
Nothing wrong
it's
with
not too
ramen.
much of an option anymore. So you have to be wary on what the wife is going to say.
Yeah, just depends what your finances look like and what you're looking for. If you're just walking in the show to spend money, then you're going to end up spending money.
And from what I hear, there's so much milsurp at this show. Most of my shows are between the pistol table, the medals, the food, the Winchester guy. And there's only like 12 milsurp tables, so I
Wow,
can't
12.
spend too much.
Yeah, usually at the shows I go to, if there's more than like 2 milsurp tables, I call it a good show.
Well, most of them are overpriced,
Or
Enfields and
sporterized
sport.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that are still
crack.
overpriced. But yeah.
Right, like last show, I don't think there was one gun that wasn't 20% over. Everything was so high. Since COVID, I think people panicked and maybe they lost a lot of their revenue or something, so they're trying to make up for it. I don't know.
I mean, there is consistently, everybody talks about gun show prices are ridiculous. And, even when I go walk around, Friday and Saturday and Sunday, most of the time I'm like, Jesus, there's no way, like, who would pay that?
Yeah.
Right.
Some of the private sellers and some of them been, other, firearms dealers. And I'm like, I know what you paid for this. Like, this is just insane. Like, how are you moving anything at these shows?
Yeah, I don't get people like that. Like, you come here to like make some money, and I guess if they sell like one goddamn thing, then they've paid for their show. But like, I've seen them with the same rifle for months and months and months, and the price tag hasn't changed. Like, what are you doing, dude? Like, clearly, you overpriced this. Like, get a clue.
Yeah, I've seen that too. Same guy. They don't care about luggage. That guy, you don't go on Sunday night because he doesn't care. He'll lug it every show. They want what they want, and I guess someone eventually pays it, so that's why they keep doing it.
I guess I don't know. It's we've run into also, a lot of, at least around here. I don't know how good, of course, the KC show is going to be with it, but I've been told before, like we've gotten into some disagreements with other vendors, because it's mostly like boomer FUD types, and they're like, oh, you're too busy. Like there's too many people around our booth. Like I don't like all this. Like we're just here to hang out and maybe sell a gun, but we're here to just hang out with our friends and have fun. I'm like, I'm here to make money and find cool shit.
That's weird.
Yeah, but I've seen a couple tables like that where it's just like a standard ass like 1903. It's like $3,000, and they're just there all bullshitting in a circle. And it's like, yeah, they didn't come here to sell a gun. They told their wife that they're like, well, I'll try and sell it. I'll go to the gun show, and then slap a ridiculous price tag on it.
Yeah, it's their little social club, and for the most part, and around here, you can see the same probably 10 or 15 dealers, within probably 100 miles at these various shows. It's all these old guys do for a lot of it. They just travel the weekends and go do this for their hobby and to have their little social outing. Excuse me.
So when you guys do research on the fly, are you besides if you guys haven't joined the Milsurp World Discord, do it because there's a lot of good people there for the info. I asked them, but besides that, do you just do? I mean, as for gun broker completed, I mean, what else do you look at for the prices while you're at the show?
As much as I hate to use it, sometimes Gunbroker completed sales with bids is always generally my first go to, just to be like, this is a really rough market value if it's something that I'm not super familiar with the market value on. And I have told people before, like, look, if this is something that, and I tend to be trying to be super honest with people, and I'll be like, look at the bids, that I'm seeing. This is what they've sold for, or at least on my end, and be like, worst comes to worst, if I pick up this gun and this is what I'm going to sell it at, I got to pay the fees on top of this, and all that other stuff and ship it. Or vice versa, be like, okay, well, here's this price, and I know that if I can get it for a little bit cheaper, then it's going to beat, shipping and, for most people buying on Gunbroker, sales tax and then a transfer fee and all that. That definitely adds up for them too.
Yeah, if it's something I'm like looking for, I'll know the price going in that I want to pay. But if it's something like, oh, I've never really thought about that, and that might be a good deal. Yeah, Gunbroker is always a good resource because I know that's the exact same thing that a lot of the vendors do. Is they're just like, oh, what does it sell for on Gunbroker, and then just slap $200 on top of it. But or I'll just like you can kind of research some forums and stuff as long as they're mostly recent, like Gunboards is a resource, or well, RIP to the Reddit's Milsurp sub. But
I wish there was more resources for quick lookups. Sometimes
yeah.
Gunbroker's lag, like you said. Sometimes the Wi-Fi is shitty, and I'm standing in the corner.
Some of us have been lifetime banned from Gunboards, and I've never even been able to successfully log into the site anyway. So I don't know what I'm lifetime banned for.
Yeah.
You're not missing much.
Yeah, that's part of the forums, just because the forums can be so outdated, and you're reading through all this stuff, and you see it's like 8 years ago, and you're like, well, shit.
Yeah. Like, oh wow, these are only 300, circa 2009. You're like, ah, shit.
I mean, lately it's been one of my go-tos. I'll post some pictures of some stuff like, hey, this guy is asking this. Here's some pictures of it. What do you guys think? And then one of the random, experts from whatever area will chime in real quick and be like, oh yeah, no, that's a good price, or no, that's.
It's very rare that there's no answer.
Yeah, there's
right?
always at least one or two or three people answering. Like, oh yeah, I bought one of those last year for XYZ, or like, oh, generally these are blah blah blah, but that one's a this version. So yeah.
So my best deal at a gun show only was a FN Mauser. It was with New York Gun Guys, Taylor, and it was $200. As soon as I walked in, first table, sitting there, I said, "How much?" They said 200. Didn't even haggle because it was 200. Was I in the wrong? Should I have said 100?
Yeah, for some of those you just gotta jump on it. Like,
Yeah, some of them you gotta take it.
Don't even bother. Don't be that guy.
I was like, for 200. I mean, it can't get much cheaper here.
Well, I mean, it's like that last show that I just posted up too. That that old guy with his walker walking around, and he had one rifle on his walker, and I was like, that looks like a 95 long boy. And I walked up, chatted with him. He was like, yeah, somebody lacquered it, but it's been in the closet for 30 years, and I want, 375 for it. And I was like, whatever, here you go, dude. Here's 375.
Yep. Yeah, that way you're both happy. Nobody feels like they got the bad end of a deal.
Was there anything you saw at any of these shows that was like super rare? I don't see many. I saw some like rare serial numbers, a couple of gas trap grands, but I never see any rare things. You guys have any luck? Like a Mondragon rifle or something.
Oh, at the San Marcos show where I actually met Matt for the first time, there was a 1907 Dryza sporting carbine.
I was just about to bring up that carbine, man. I wanted to buy that thing
Whoa.
so damn bad.
Yeah.
Wait, how much was that?
3,500.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad because I mean I hadn't even heard of him. Like
I had never seen one either, but it's kind of the same thing. Like just do my quick scan, run around, and I saw that and stopped me in my tracks, and I was like, "This thing is ugly and weird AF. I have to have it."
Yeah, that thing was cool. So that's one of the.
I'd say frequently, there's something. It just depends what market you're in to say, what's rare or not. Especially in the modern side of things, like I've seen a lot of very high end AK builds. This guy at this last show walking around and he's wanting $6,000 for his RPK because it's an Arsenal RPK, yada yada yada. Whoa. Stuff like that. And they are pretty uncommon when you get into that high end of stuff. And then in terms of like old rare military stuff, not terribly much on the surplus side of things.
Yeah, there's a lot of like 9130s and Carcanos, and I just a lot of old Winchester rifles around here.
Yeah, I forget what it was. I wish I had taken a picture. Somewhere I had seen like some. I think it was up in Dallas when I lived up there. I saw some. It was a trials rifle. I forget what country or like what rifle it was, but it wasn't one that was adopted. So it was like one of like probably like 50 ever made, and of course it was like $5,000. So I couldn't even like use on it to afford it. But it was I've seen a trials rifle. That's probably the rarest thing I've ever seen. It was some European country, but that doesn't narrow it down really.
What about the weirdest thing, like the strangest freaking thing that you've seen there? Was there not? It's got to be something strange. At least a strange looking guy.
Like
or well, whatever. Like there was a table at one show here. It was a woman selling her daughter's art of hunting stuff, and it was like blood and hunting animals are all bloody. The kid was 7.
Jesus,
that's just sitting there. It's like, what the hell?
There's a lot of junk at most of the shows local to us around me and Kelly, though. That's for sure. There's no screening for if you're willing to pay the table fee, then they'll let you in. Man, there's massagers, Chinese junk. There's engraving. There's trinkets. There's of course sausages and beef jerky and all that, like the typical gun show nonsense. There's always some jewelry peddlers trying to catch whatever women are running around.
Always a taser guy.
Oh, I hate those. Goddamn.
There's fucking like roof shingles and like improved
solar companies lately have been setting
fucking solar panels. Like, nope, I rent, go away.
We have a lot of barbed wire covered bats.
Oh yeah, there's always that guy, the zombie table. Like, dude, zombies aren't a thing since like 2012.
Chinese stars and stuff.
I think the weirdest gun I've seen, you probably saw it too at some point, Matt. It's an SMLE that was very shoddily converted to 22 and like had the stock cut down and had like a rear peep sight that was like made out of like welded washers or some shit and like metal to like bring it up over the receiver.
Yeah, I think I remember because I was really it hurt my heart being the infield guy, and I think it was a BSA 22 or some type of just monstrosity that they converted to 22. And I was
it was horrifying. That's one of the. I've seen a lot of weird things. For weird people, I've seen a guy that like clearly was off his rocker and escaped the like senior folks home he lived at or something like that, and he's wearing like big fluffy bear like shoes or what was the term, like loafers that you wear around the house, and like sweatpants that he may or may not have peed in, and like a robe. And like, where the hell? How did he get here? Because no way he fucking drove here, and he was like, got to be like 90 years old, and he smelled weird and was talking
There
nonsense.
are a lot of weird people at the gun shows. Like there's constant me and my guys are like lock eyes and be like, "Whoa, do you see that?" Like,
I heard one guy say he was in Vietnam, and in his previous life, he was in World War II. Okay.
That's a good one.
And it's dead serious, though.
And there's the guys that like reek of weed, and they're walking past the ATF table.
Yeah.
and the whole everybody's a sniper or special forces, at some point in there.
My uncle was a Navy SEAL, and he carried one of these, and it's like a Ruger revolver or something like that.
Is there anything you guys are looking for specifically in KC? Because we'll do a podcast on the return to wrap up how it was, and if we were maybe successful. Is there anything you're looking for? We can set the suspense. Like I'm looking for an 1895 Chilean short rifle rear sight. Very specific.
Yeah, that one you have to dig through some parts bins for.
Yeah. And I need another 19 for my 1903, another bayonet.
Yeah,
I don't
you'll
want to
find that.
spend. I don't want to spend 250 like everyone's. So
Yeah, for
and
me, there's a few rifles there still, or a few guns that are like at the top of my list right now, like an Italian 1889 Bodeo revolver. I want to pay under
nice.
500, so like that's where the cutoff is. Or a Greek Mannlicher Schonauer 1903. I want to pay like under a fucking 1,000 because those things are ridiculous.
And you mean unmodified, right?
Yeah, and like no sporters, no
I was like,
completely.
anything with the Monlister stock on it is automatically over 1,000. That's
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
Fudlore 101.
Yep, yeah, those things are insane. And then if I could find a
Oh, my
Luger
bad.
for under like 12, that'd be pretty sick. But I doubt that because everyone
like,
wants a
ooh.
Luger. Everyone wants a Luger, and they all know what they look like, so they're like immediately bought up. A lot of the World War One stuff can fly under the radar just because people don't know what it is. But Lugers, nope, no chance.
I have quite a few on the list, like always, but I'm hoping to find. I'd love a nice condition wire wrapped SMLE, preferably with the grenade
Ooh.
cup with it, because it's one of the few that I've never found one worthy enough for my collection. Because I'm
Nice.
a picky condition.
That's a good one to look for because you can see that like a mile away.
Yeah, and
The wire wrapped.
some people just price them as regular infield, so that could be a good gun show find.
I would love to find a Frommer stop. Is still pretty high on my list.
Oh, those are cool.
I was bidding on it was a lock, stock, and barrel auction the other day, and of course it went way above what I was willing to pay because their stuff goes crazy. But it was the Walther Sport Model 2, the early 1900s. It's a bolt action and semi-auto. You can do either one, 22, just something weird and cool.
Wow.
That's cool.
I'd love to find an actual Fiat.
Oh, Piat, yeah.
I've been on a few in the last year or so, and they've all gone over like north of 2,500 to 3K, and I can't spend that much for a gun I can't legally or actually physically shoot. But I'm willing to pay a little bit if I can find a good condition Fiat somewhere just to have for my British collection.
Yep.
I could do with a nice infield trainer of some sort too, but and most of the times they're pretty high in prices pretty quick.
That's a good list.
Yeah, those are nice. Those Enfield trainers. I was playing at some show, and they get expensive. True, over 1,000 that I
Yeah,
saw.
minimum 800 to even like look at one.
It's kind of like one of those jokes with the where the Aritakas are like, oh, it's a the stock's broken. Be like, hey, the magazine's missing its internals. Like on the trainer.
I'm still looking for that Swedish 94 for under 1,000. Those things I passed on 2 at one point for 650. I was like, nah.
Shit.
Well,
Should've got that.
right at COVID or right before COVID, or I just bought something, so it was one of those like I can't buy another thing, and now I can't even find them under 1,000.
Yeah, I think the last one I saw was about 650, and it was
Damn.
at a show pretty close. And this was probably about a year ago. And I remember like I walked back, like I'm gonna go get it. It's gone.
I also saw one around here for 650, but it was like completely mismatched, and like the stock looked like it was like a reproduction. So I'm like, I know I could find a better one.
I always want a 1903 Turk. That shouldn't be
So you can find that pretty easily.
So that's something I could find. And then a standard model Mauser with the banner. Nice, beautiful Mauser banner.
Yeah,
I
I
have
guess
no
whatever.
Mauser banner rifles.
I mean, anything you get, you're gonna have to really want because you'll have to get it transferred and everything.
I wouldn't mind a nice broom handle in some capacity too. I don't have any of those yet.
Yeah, I haven't done enough research on those because there's so many little intricacies to them.
Are those the ones the number 9 grip ones too?
The Red
Yeah,
Nine,
the
yeah.
red
Red
nines and
nines. Yeah, there's a
variant of
whole
them.
world. I don't know.
I've had decent luck with like more obscure things at gun shows, like World War One, like 32 pistols. You can usually find a decent deal on because nobody really thinks anything of them. They're like, oh, it's just some old 32 pistol, like especially the boomers or like the revolvers. They're like, oh, it's some French revolver. I don't really care about it. So the more
I
obscure
do like
stuff,
to stumble upon all those little curiosity German made 32 pistols from around that time too, because they're always so funky and weird, and you gotta look up and figure out who actually made them and what the hell they are, because most of the time they don't even know.
yeah.
And does a lot of the vintage ammo cross your path, Matt?
Not too much of it. Yeah, I think very rarely have I. I mean, there's the couple of vendors that have some pretty unique and old ammo, but in terms of like walking through the door, like what is this? I very rarely have encountered that.
Yeah, there's always at least a table or two that has a bunch of like old weird ammo, like one milsurp and like one kind of like Western stuff, like 32, 23 or whatever random BS they had back then.
There is a guy at one of the shows that pops up every now and then, and his whole business is he just sells the ammo boxes, like the old collectible
Yeah.
box or whatever. And he was showing me some of the stuff. Oh, this one's 5,000 for this empty box. This one's 20,000. I sold this one for 25,000. People were
Yeah, we
picking
have
up
a
for
guy like that too, and I couldn't believe the prices on the empty boxes.
yeah.
Awesome.
That's too far out of my bubble. Like I don't know. I know like the old 60s and 70s boxes. And I'm like, oh, that looks cool. I might buy one for me just to have if it's 20, $30. But I'm not spending the price of a gun on a box of ammo.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one I was looking at was some Mauser one, and it was $160 or so. I was like, no, thanks.
I didn't even know. A while back, I picked up a Oliver Winchester commemorative liver action, and it had like 5 boxes of I think it was 3855 or something with it. But each of the boxes of ammo apparently were quite collectible themselves, and they each sold for like 150 a pop on Gunbroker.
Nice.
And I was like, oh, I didn't even count the ammo into my valuation for it just because I didn't know about it. And I was like, well, that's cool.
I mean, that's a whole world. Jeez.
Yeah. There's so many little sub niches within the gun collecting world.
Ammo box guy. Jeez. All right, so hey, let's wrap up here a little bit. We went over what to bring because we're bringing a bag and money. That's the two things you should probably bring. Is that correct?
And a sling if you plan on buying a
Oh.
rifle.
Maybe a couple little bags. So if you buy a bunch of little things, you can keep yourself organized. I don't like when my bag just has old metals and ammo jostling around in the bottom.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do your research on the fly, get some friends in Discord or use your gun broker completed. Go to the completed tab, advanced, whatever.
There's some
Get the
some
prices.
forums and make sure it's from this decade at least.
Right? You don't really have to budget, but you might want to if you want to stay married.
I'm hoping I have one or two of my dealer sample machine guns up right now on a few places, and I'm hoping to use that for my walking around K.C money.
Yep.
That'd be awesome. We talked about attacking the show, going around. Kelly, you like Danny, you like to go to the back and work your way around. Matt, what'd you say? You go to the back too, or you just go in and just keep walking?
I tend to be a little OCD with it. I basically go in and I make whatever the first corner I can is, and then I do it very like linear and just kind of go through the whole show that way. And like I said, that's my quick go around, and then I'll go back to like the ones I mentally highlighted. Like, okay, I need to go look at this table more in depth and dig through it.
Yeah, there's just gonna be a mob of us at the KC show.
Yeah. And I have trouble leaving sometimes. Like, I'm like, all right, I did it. I went around twice, 3 times, whatever. I'm like, all right, let me go one more time. Let me just do one more time.
Like anything I missed?
Maybe I missed something.
Did I go back and look at this? Oh, let me go check.
And it's like I said, the 3 or 4 times where I went, I'm going to go back and get that specific rifle. It was gone. And the spot is just empty. Sad. We talked about how to haggle. Never accept the price tag price. You heard it here. Matt prices up, knowing that everybody haggles. Don't be afraid.
Just a little bit. Don't be a dick.
Yeah, like is it insulting when it's a too low of a price? You know, you have it marked for 15 and you go 200.
Yeah.
So,
And that's pretty common with, like I said, like that's more of what happens on Friday. And at least for me personally, I'm pulling out guns, setting them on a table, getting stuff set up. And there's one that stands out to me it happens a lot, but this one dude, and he's in his little motorized wheelchair, and he comes just running over all my gun cases, and and it's been like 3 shows. It's been the same it's a Winchester semi-auto. I forget what model it is off the top of my head. It's an old like 60s semi-auto Winchester 22. And I think I have like 375 on it. They're selling for like 400 on Gun Broker. It's got a little vintage scope on it. And every day the dude's like, I'll give you 150 bucks for it. I'm like, no, dude. And I'll come back the next day, 150. Oh, you still have it? I'll give you 150. No, dude, you're gonna take it and you're gonna put it on your table for 500 because you do that. Like
Yeah.
he bought I learned my lesson because he bought a gun for me. It was a little, I forget what it was. It might have been a Remington 22 of some type that I think I sold for 175 bucks or something like that. And he came over and he talked about it, how he wanted it for, he's like this style of gun. He likes it. He collects them. Did the 4473, the background check. And so the gun was for him and all that. And what do I see when I'm walking around, a couple hours later? It's on his table for 350.
Jeez.
oh well.
Yeah, I mean, I made my money on it. And, if he wants to do whatever he wants to do with it, at that point, it's his. So.
Right,
Yeah.
and I guess that's like, 'cause I hear that happens all the time. I guess in that community, you're not supposed to frown upon that. Like like you just said, you made your money, so let them make theirs.
I don't ever take offense at it. I just know that like some of these guys play with fire because that's all they do is travel at gun shows and sell at gun shows, and they buy and sell for their livelihood, and that's getting into, you can get yourself in some legal trouble with that.
Right.
And so like there's some of the dealers like I won't sell guns to because I know you're going to lie on the background check because it's
Right.
not for you. You're going to resell it, and I really don't. I wish we didn't have to do the regulation side of it, but I'm not going to lose my license and livelihood for you, type of thing.
Right. I, for one, do not fuck with the law. All right. We also talked about Friday deals, and if you could get in on Friday when the vendors are setting up and all that, that you might be able to get something special. But if you can't get in on Friday, get there early. Definitely. I only went to one show later, and I heard about all the deals. I missed that that morning, but a friend could have been lying. But yeah, make me feel bad. But and the other thing was, look for the guys packing up at the end of the show. I heard it more than once. These guys don't want to carry their shit home.
That's a
Maybe
real
you can
thing.
make a deal. And I don't know if we got much into package deals. I like to do that too. I like to look for a few items on the table and do a little. How much is this? 50. All right, I'll take these 3 for 75. Sometimes the people get overwhelmed by the math and just say yes.
Yeah, I've done that a time or two. Like if they have a couple of guns you're interested in, like, oh, this one's 450 and this one's 350, and you're like, I'll give you 6 for both. And they're like, oh, yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I'm pretty inclined if somebody is like, hey, I'm interested in these, 2 guns or these 3 guns. What can you do? I tend to be a little bit more favorable in my offer back to them or my price.
Yeah, see? That is a good one. All right, so we'll be back for the KC after KC to report if we got our fines and how the show went and if I'm moving there because I hear it's a beautiful place. I don't know though. You guys, wait, have you been to KC before? You said you have?
I have been one time, yes, in 2017, and I did get to go to the World War One museum. Definitely recommend that.
Ooh,
I have never been.
all right. All right, you're with me. They say it's beautiful, so let's see. I've never been to Kansas either, and we're going into Kansas a little, so very exciting.
Yep. And we still playing that game you mentioned at the gun show, Tom?
Oh, yes. We're going to we're going to choose a price, either 25 or $50, and we'll see who wants to be in. And you have to pick the coolest item, and we're going to have the Discord judge And, cool is up for debate, but you know it when you see it. I think I have some prizes available too. So, pick something that's the coolest that you want, at least, so that you're not just throwing money away. But at a show like this, there should be something cool.
Between your prizes, I think Danny said he had some, and the business is gonna. I have a few things that I was thinking about doing. I'm gonna bring up at least a little something for everybody. So it should be a pretty good time for everybody that wants to come out. Be a good like-minded meetup.
Yeah, we're gonna do a live trivia event, and that's what Danny's got the prizes. So, if you guys want a part of all this, you could join the Millsap World Discord at the go to this Millsap World's Patreon and hop in.
It'll be a good time.
And I will get this out before the show so people can hop in and go. All right, Matt. Thanks for joining us, dude. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
And Kelly, I will see you at the show.
Yep. Finally meet in person.
Yeah.
You can hear that New York accent. I guess you can hear our Texas drawl.
You'll see that I'm faking it the whole time. All right, everyone. Thank you. We'll catch you next time.
Have a good one.
Good night, guys.
Leave it.